Peace be with you. Peace be with me. That was so frustrating. Oh, man. Man almighty. All right. So I'm back. Are you guys back? Thank you so much for your patience. I am not kidding. It is just one thing after another. So anybody who's here and wants to say hello, I'm restarting from this earlier afternoon's live chat. I couldn't find my flippin' power cord and ran out of juice in the computer. Dana, you're back. Oh, thank you, sweetie. Yeah, so frustrating. Hello, one maiden nut. Is it one maiden nut? Yeah, that's right. Annie Ruler, hey. All right, there's enough of us here to have a party. We continue the conversation after you left for a long time. Did you? Because I looked at the chat and it didn't look like there was anything. So, okay. Because I was like, oh, wow, people just gave up. I expected that there would have been some chat going on, but I don't know. I don't know how this works. Oh, because my thing went dead. Yeah, it probably didn't pick it up. So maybe it'll pick it up now going back and looking. So then I can catch up with my people. So thank you so much for coming back. Look at all you guys. Larissa, Annie Ruler, Dana, Susan, Chic Antique. Yes, you kept chatting. And see, that's so funny because that was the first thing I looked for when I plugged in my laptop. I figured that the chat continued on. What did I miss? What did I miss? So, oh, I'm not kidding you. It's just nuts. Is life so crazy? I mean, most days I have my laptop plugged in, even though it has plenty of power, because I usually keep it plugged in all the freaking time. And so I didn't have my power cord and I couldn't find it to save my life. So I almost had to go out and buy a new one. But, it's just like our freaking cell phones. We have too many at my house already, with 5 or 6 of us that live there, depending. Everybody's got their phone. Everybody's got their charger. We all have multiple chargers for the house and the car and everywhere else. I just hate having so many flippin' cords. Like, when will things not need to be charged, right? It doesn't seem like that's too far away. ISP may have slipped and said something fishy regarding the 4 being unconscious. The Idaho State Patrol, the Idaho State Police may have slipped and said something regarding the 4 being unconscious. You mean like being unconscious before the unaliving? Hey, Nicole Clark. Cool. I just subscribed to your channel this morning and now I get to chat. Oh, welcome. Thanks for subbing. Interesting. So I'm going to do my disclaimer again. I always like to go over that. I could do a banner. I think I'm learning how to do the banner up above, but I don't think I want to have my disclaimers, the banner. 3434 Triple J has the real deets, but she's not talking much respecting the gag order. She's asking questions, kind of like how Annie Ruler does. So not sure. We are searching for that statement. Interesting. So as you guys all know, everything I say is simply my opinion. It's simply for the sake of conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and learn something and be educational. And what else? All my videos are made specifically for YouTube, which is an entertainment platform. So here we go again. I'm going to try to calm down because I was so amped up knowing that my thing was going to go dead. But I had like a whole hour video before it went dead. But, an hour just goes so fast on a live. So, let's see. Hello, Justice in chat. Hey, mom of 3 boys. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Miss chatting with everyone. Get to catch a live. Oh, man. I like to think of it like Bob Ross, like happy accidents rather than, just one more annoying thing. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. Not being able to find my freaking power cord, but I finally found it. It was right in my back pocket the whole time. No, I'm just kidding. I had to search high and low. Oh man. Um, there's still so much confusion about unconscious. So there has been speculation that these victims could have been drugged. I had always wondered if they might have been roofied because I would think that even drunk and passed out, that once they were attacked, assaulted, that their survival instinct would kick in and that they would, wake up and fight back. So I've always wondered if they were drugged. So, I came up with that crazy theory at the end of last week. Like maybe the kids were experimenting with hard drugs and maybe somebody overdosed, maybe more than one of them overdosed, and things went nuts. It's an idea. Um, it's a crazy idea. I know. I don't think that that's how it happened, but I just think that there is that possibility. I mean, you have to look at this whole thing with it's a party house, and they talk about mollies a lot in regards to the party house. Um, substances are substances, and then there's fentanyl. So I would think that anything can be laced with fentanyl. I know even marijuana can be. So maybe a molly can be easy to overdose on that crap. And maybe if there were a few ODs and they were trying to cover that up, or maybe there was one OD and people were spazzing out and they wanted to cover it up and they were afraid that people would tell. I don't know. I don't know. And I'm not going to pretend that I know. You dropped out at the 34-minute mark, I believe. Okay, it seemed really short because it said that it was an hour long. So maybe you guys kept chatting for 26 minutes. That's possible, I guess, right? Is that how long you guys chatted for? Because I thought, wow, it didn't seem like an hour. It seemed like it was really quick. Okay, Annie Ruler, you mentioned a day or so ago, what if all OD and pass slice to cover up OD? Trial I had helped with, neck slice, bloody, backstabs, virtually no blood because heart stops pumping blood, FYI. Oh my goodness, Annie Ruler. Wow. That's wild. So yeah, if they were already unalived, then the slicing, there wouldn't be so much of the bleeding out. Wow, that's wild. See, I mean, it's amazing you have that real life experience with a trial that had a similar type of situation to what you just described. Um, so yeah, I apologize for not giving a trigger alert warning before um, seeing that comment and reading it out loud and then responding to it. It was ironic you were dropped 18 seconds after saying NSA. Was I? I don't know. I was kind of spazzing out because I was anxious that that was going to happen. Dana, where did you see 3434J? Oh, is it double J, not triple J at? I think it's triple J. I'd seen her comment on Watt's obsession comment section. So, mom of three boys, in the live that I just did, starting at 12:12 today, and then going to about 34 minutes past that. I was going to say 1:12 since my computer told me that that live was an hour long. But anyway, so from about 10 after 1 till about 1:40, we had 3434 Triple J in our chat. Your aunt was probably trying to keep you on your toes. Oh, Nicole Clark, you were so cute and funny. It is wild. I am not kidding you. She was doing some stuff with my phone earlier, just like an hour or so ago. And like like she was putting herself in the favorites list, which I don't even have a favorites list. Like she started a favorites list. It was really freaking wild. Like I don't think that it is too far fetched that our ether and our ether are cross pollinating. I don't know. Um, so let's see. You have so much awesome background. Well, and then you could see the awesome background. No, you couldn't because my computer died. So because I just left it while I was on the hunt. So anyway, thank you. I love my background. I do, I do, I do. I flipped it over like I did everything. This big one was over here for a while. And so now I have its little mate over here and the big one there. I usually don't have the little one with this setup, but I thought, why not? Let's check it out. Constantly changing it, thinking like, okay, this is it. Now I'm going to nail everything down. And then I get some ideas and move stuff around. Let's see. She was in the first chat, mom of 3 boys. That last scenario sounds very plausible. Well, especially with the lack of the red stuff. Yeah, Dana, I agree. And I had not thought about that the blood flow would be um, diminished or expired. Um, and yeah, depending on how much time it elapsed, especially. So back to the time elapsing, that 9 o'clock until 1:45. We were talking about yesterday with Xana and Ethan, when they initially were reporting that Xana and Ethan had been at the Sigma Chi party from 8 to 9, which is weird, right? That's weird just to be at a party for an hour, unless they just wanted some alone time. So they went back to their place. And then Xana's father says that he was texting with her, I think around midnight or 12:30. And she said that they were at home watching a movie. And we don't know. I mean, they would have their cell phone pings, I guess, but somebody yesterday mentioned that perhaps they were visiting Xana's sister in Pullman. So I thought that was a plausible concept as well. Let's see. Yes, mom of 3 boys. According to her comment, she seemed to know a lot. So she had said in the earlier chat that um, she or he, I'm not sure if it's a she or a he, they had said that they had students who knew about the situation at 10 a.m. on November 13th, but they said that they didn't live there. So I don't know what the deal is. They left a lot out, but that's okay. I mean, people like to keep their anonymity. So that would make sense. Karma Queen KLO. Oh, the thing that Annie Ruler said. It was a good bit because we were hoping you would come back. Well, I was definitely going to come back. So thanks for coming back too. I appreciate that. Oh, and please hit that like button, that one right there. Like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so kind and don't mind. If you are inspired to. Lots of sites are having issues. Well, that was just me not having my flippin' power cord, Cindy Neufeld. So, it does take a lot to do a YouTube channel, and especially for us amateurs. Some of the YouTube content creators are much, much more professional, and they've got their studio and they've probably got a staff. At least they've got friends that do stuff in the background. I mean, I've got my mods, and for them, I'm very grateful, but it's pretty much just me and my makeup artist. Kidding. I might put on mascara if I'm lucky. Let's see. all mainstream media take over YouTube, in my opinion. Well, I think that that is an issue, that mainstream media is very scared of the YouTube, because YouTube has everybody watching it, and mainstream media used to have everybody watching it. So there's a struggle going on there. Most likely, yep. Love it. Very calm and relaxing. Well, I try, especially when I'm as tightly wound as I was earlier, not knowing where my freaking cord was, the background. Was it two girls sent running from 1122 King Road around 3 a.m.? Possibly pics. Was their search warrant for facial recognition. Opens phone asleep. Wow. So yeah, the thing with Xana and her father texting at 12 or 12:30, that could have been somebody using Xana's phone, like how Brian Laundrie used Gabby Petito's phone to text her mom to try to throw off the timeline. The first thing you do in a criminal situation like that is you want to throw off the timeline. So, it sounds plausible that things could have happened with Xana and Ethan as early as 9 o'clock. It sounds plausible, in my opinion. It's pretty impossible for anything to have happened to Kaylee and Madison until at least 1:56 a.m. I think is like the time that they got home or something like that. But something could have happened before 4, I believe. Um, you know, as much time as you can elapse from the time of a crime, that first 24 hours, first 48 hours, if you can get rid of that window, we all know that that's the most powerful information, is right up front from the time that something happens. The first 12 hours is going to be much more significant than the second 12 hours. So they already have the 12 hours gone, which does a lot to diminish or wipe out the possibility of determining time of unaliving. So that would be something that somebody would want to do if they had unalived before that. So, the first 12 hours of this case are absolutely gone into the wind. And then the next 36 hours is there. But what gives me so much cause for concern and so much pause is that law enforcement should have been pissed off and frustrated with the lack of calling 911 for 8 hours, with the slowness of the lead detective arriving. But no, they were pissed off and upset with Olivia for trying to give them a more accurate timeline when they were saying that the girls were home by 1:45, and she said, no, I've seen them on the live Twitter feed from the grub truck still there at 1:45, and I've got cell phone access to know more. So she was putting them home at 1:56, and law enforcement got angry at her about that. That makes no sense. They should have been, and they should still be, angry at the roommates that failed to call 911 for 8 hours. And I don't think either one of them ever called 911. Somebody else did. Anyway, to me, that's where they give themselves away. Like, something's up. Something is up. Let's see. They said they called the FBI themselves, and they were there by the night of the 14th. You mean the law enforcement? Thank you. Oh, LOL. Meta owns WhatsApp now. I think it today. Why nobody those messages have taken, but I think they did so. Google owned the app before. And when they called the feds, they had no idea of the situation. Interesting. Lots going on today in DC. Oh, with Feinstein, Diane Feinstein. That's sad. I mean, she's what, 90? And I think some of it's sexism, if that's what you're talking about, Cindy. I don't think they'd be messing with a dude like that. But yeah, I mean, just give her an opportunity to do what needs to be done. This is totally off topic and it's not a complaint, but is your camera lens a little dusty? No big deal. I don't think so, but maybe. You know what? I think that it's just some stupid light. Let me see. Does that help? Let me not kick everything over. Oh my God, I'd be so frustrated if I did. Not today. Please, not today. Is that a little bit better? Um, Now that you said that, now I feel like my glasses are dusty, but um, yeah, I think that that's better, isn't it? Anyway, can I read your comments without my glasses on? Um, what's going on in DC today? Both B and D. No, I'm gonna have to put them back on. Ugh, what happened? It's so frustrating when the thing jumps around, when the lenses aren't clean. Like I said, there's so many components. Okay, both B and D posting on social media around 3:30 feels orchestrated to me. So, did they really post around 3:30 a.m. Annie Ruler? Because that would be completely insane. But that would also explain why law enforcement is so fixated on taking the time frame off of 3 to 4 a.m. and putting it on 4 a.m. to 4:25. That is nuts. Were they really posting at 3:30? Because I know there was a lot of debate about that a few months ago that maybe they were posting at 12:30 their time, which was 3:30 East Coast time. Um, but also the payments, the Venmo payments to I don't have her name off the top of my head, the person from the sorority. And wasn't one of the memos like for 3 a.m. or something like that? Something about 3 a.m. Love your background too. As in your life experiences, background makes you one of my favorites too. Oh, you're so sweet. The roommates never called 911. They had someone else call, right? Because they were in frozen shock phase. Um, wow, it wasn't pinning. I was like, oh no. Okay, now it does. Sadly, I think a lot of very bad things happened. I agree. Absolutely. I was referring to 3434 Triple J's comment about calling the FBI and then being unaware of the Idaho situation and them being unaware. Um, Biden. Oh, what's up with Biden today in DC? I know that he had been made aware of what had happened in Alabama at the Mohogany Masterpiece Massacre. Um, but I don't know what else is going on there. I was watching the morning news. I didn't see anything about that. Um, Thanks for the correction, Dana. I think I caught that. Them instead of then. I wonder if every clock that shows the dates and timestamps, or the ones they use for everything, had been updated from daylight savings ending on November 6th, 2022, like any traffic cam footage, etc. That's fascinating, Nicole Clark. What a great comment. I have not heard anybody mention that in the 5 months since it happened. Wow, brilliant. I wonder if he's had another stroke because since he's been in office, he's definitely had at least one. Wow. Well, it's part of the problem with politicians being so advanced in their ages. Um, I definitely think that wisdom comes with age, but so do health complications sometimes. So, was Bethany dating? Could she had Tinder date? They were adults. I mean, it's a very good question. It's never been mentioned if she had been dating anybody or had a boyfriend. And, yeah, these are very pretty college kids. So, Annie Ruler says the picture of D and K at the dance. I forget what Bethany's post. One was at 3:29, the other was at 3:33. Yes, what were they paying the sorority lady for? Exactly. Exactly, Annie Ruler. I mean, there's just so many unanswered questions. Dana, 6 more family members charged. Um, I'm really confused, Cindy Neufeld. If you could, Biden family members. Oh, 6 family members of Biden's charged. Well, that would give somebody a stroke. Wow, really? My bad, Dana says. Slow to catch on. Just popping in to say hi and then gotta fly. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Bubbly Waters. Thanks for your emails too. I do have one photo of Bethany with an unknown man. How much was paid to the sorority by Venmo? I missed it. I think it was a bunch of smaller amounts. I don't think it was anything too monumental. Um, but it is interesting that I think a lot of them were paid at about 3 a.m. I know that one of them was paid before that, but it said in the memo 3 a.m. It's very questionable, highly questionable. So let me look at my notes here. Um, let's see. So I spoke yesterday of the professor Catherine Ramsland being aware that if the criminal defendant was found guilty, that would tarnish her professional reputation as far as being able or having not been able to uh, to register that, to not recognize any traits in her student. So I'm just thinking, in the event that he is not guilty and he is being framed, and Catherine Ramsland and other professors and people that knew him, even the people at Wazoo, that it reflects poorly on them if they were bringing this person into their department and working closely with him, in the event that he's guilty. But in the event that he's not guilty, still, it's damaged their reputations the way it's damaged Brian's reputation. Because let's face it, if he's found not guilty, there are going to be a flock of people who will never believe that he's not guilty. Just like if he's found guilty, there's going to be a flock of people that might not believe that he is guilty. So either way, it's going to tarnish the professional reputations of some of these people that have worked really hard to get to where they're at. And I just think that, yes, if he did it, then he's extremely inconsiderate of everybody around him, his family, his colleagues, obviously the victims. But if he's being set up, people setting him up are also being terrifyingly inconsiderate of the families, the victims, the professional colleagues. I mean, even the criminal defendant's family saying that they've lost their employment and can't become gainfully employed. That's really frightening. Even if he's guilty, that doesn't mean that they're bad people. I mean, are we responsible for what everybody in our family does? Obviously not. So it's weird. Like, people can be so weird. Let's see. Um, So much going on before 3 and 4 that day. Right, and then the police, law enforcement moved the time frame from 3 to 4, which they definitely nailed down that this happened between 3 and 4 AM, and then they decided a few weeks later that it happened no earlier than 4 AM, and that whole thing with that DoorDash being delivered at about 4 AM, why won't they just say exactly what minute it was delivered at? Because they know that would be on record, but they just want to say about 4 AM. It's frustrating to me. I think the pets were Mass and Menos, $35. Oh, the payments, the pets. We only saw short time period doing math, say 200 sorority gals supported this woman's cause. Ads of $35. Yeah, that's a lot of money. 100 of them is going to be, the brain sometimes works. Anyone else think no victim was sleeping? I also challenged that K and M intended both sleeping in a single bed, especially when K had a furnished bed in other room. So one maiden nut, the family, Kaylee's family has said that the girls always slept in a bed together, no matter what. I guess unless boyfriends were around, but that they always cuddled. They were snugglers, and that the dog would sleep with them. So I do think it's possible that none of them were asleep, absolutely. But they also could have been unconscious from being drugged, being roofied, or having overdosed. So yeah, Kaylee's room right across the hall, apparently she had moved everything out of it, but apparently the bed still had dressing on it. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm real curious about Murphy. We've always heard that Murphy was in that room, Kaylee's old bedroom, with the door shut. And I just wonder, since the family has said that the girls always slept with the dog, I have always wondered if that dog was put in that room. And then more recently, I've heard stories that could be not legitimate, that Murphy was roaming around the neighborhood even. So I don't know. I absolutely don't know. Saying guilt by association is a saying for a reason. Sucks when you're the one associated with the guilty or allegedly guilty party. Absolutely. Absolutely. But let's say that he's not guilty and these people, his family, has not been able to earn a living and pay their bills and buy food and all that normal stuff. That would be extremely unfortunate, especially if he's not guilty. If he is guilty, then what you're saying, guilt by association, yeah. But like I said, accusations can be just as damaging to your reputation. So I want to hug Murphy. He's a really cute dog, isn't he? I like that video that Kaylee did of her like making him dance and his little paws doing that. This is funny. He's a very relaxed and uh, well, just well mannered, really relaxed dog. Definitely not anxious at all. I have watched a lot of trial cases. I do not see same traits on defendant, like example Jodi Arias. Am I saying her name right? I know who you're talking about. Sure, I have seen a little time. Yeah, I thought he looked surprisingly relaxed the one day in court in the beginning, when I think it was like the first time we saw him in court with Ann Taylor. He looked extremely relaxed. And I remember Steve G saying that he expected him to be a big, scary guy, and that he just looked like a puny little punk, which, again, I think that that's why the affidavit was written that he had an athletic build, because they didn't want to say he had a puny little punk build and then try to say that he unalived a dude that was 6'4". And also remember, Jack D is also 6'4". So both Ethan and Jack D are very tall, or Ethan was very tall, and a couple inches taller than his triplet brother. Hunter looks like he's about 6'1", maybe 6'2". Do you think that the beds the tenants of 1122 King Road used were provided by the homeowners like the beds provided at dorms? That is such a good question. I would not think so. That why is it's acting up? Let's see, it's just not responding. Weird. It's not letting me. Okay, now it is. Let's see. I was trying to pin yours, Nicole. There we go. Now it's responding. Okay. Do you think that the bed? So what I was saying or about to say is about when the law enforcement was starting to clean out the residence on the morning of Friday, January 30th, before the judge's order to cease and desist order came through. How they had that truck pulled all the way up to the door, and they had like sheeting, like tarps, so that you couldn't see what was coming out. So why didn't they have that before, like when they did the U-Haul? And why didn't they have that when they removed the remains? It's all very weird, you guys. Like, why would they have that on the morning of the 30th? They had the full like tunnel from the back of the truck to the front door so that no one could see nothing that was coming out of the house and going into the truck. And yeah, that was so nuts to me that they were even attempting to do that the judge had to have the cease and desist order. And who knows what they got out of there that morning before the judge's order came through. It seems in most criminal cases, the families on all sides get treated wrong. I agree, T. King. I absolutely agree. Yeah, the poor families. I mean, what an awful nightmare, which is just putting it mildly. Really unreal. And then to have it blasted on social, got to be rough. I know Shanann Watts's family has had a really tough time with that. However, I think that it's nice for people to give your family attention. I know there's a lot of people whose family members have been victimized and they haven't gotten attention from the internet sleuths, and they wish that the internet sleuths would give their family member attention. It's really a hit or miss kind of thing. And especially if you don't feel like your family member has gotten justice, you don't feel like your family's gotten justice, it's nice to have people talking about it. Bringing awareness to the situation would improve the chances of a better resolution. So, yeah. He looked so relaxed. I feel like it's because he knows something big that will let him walk. I'm not convinced he is guilty either. Yeah, I honestly don't know what to think. I would think that if he is not guilty, and he knows he's not guilty, that he would still be very concerned that professionals are pinning it on him. Because if they're going to plant evidence, if indeed he's not guilty and the evidence is not real evidence, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, like the guy I was mentioning earlier, Roger Dean Gillespie, who spent 24 years in prison for the 3 essays that he had nothing to do with any of them. And then he won the 50 or $45 million lawsuit. But I mean, 24 years of your life, it's awful. Absolutely awful. Hey, Kale. Hey, Annie Potts. Do we have Annie Ruler and Annie Potts? So, you guys, now I'm like so relaxed because I was so ramped up when my battery was low and it was alerting me and I couldn't find my cord. So now I'm like super chill, super relaxed. Where are we at? We're at 40 minutes. Um, Pretty sure Kaylee was leaving the bed behind. She was going to Texas, then Europe. I think she was going to Europe and then Texas, I think, right? It seems as though she took everything but the bed when she moved out in the weeks prior. That's what it looks like to me, too. Ms. Potts, Ms. Annie Potts. 44 watchers and 20 likes. So please hit that like button if you feel inclined. Leslie, I agree. I just hope if Brian has some digital alibi, hopefully police does not destroy it. Right. Again, the Roger Dean Gillespie, he had receipts from being out of state, and those receipts were destroyed so that they could pin the essays on him, which meant that the real assaulter was out on the streets. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that he reoffended, that there was, evidence that it was the same person. And his victims didn't get justice. I mean, they got as messed up and robbed as Roger Dean Gillespie did, really. And especially the victims that were victimized after there was one guy falsely imprisoned for it. Especially them, because that didn't need to happen. Let's see. T. King, the lovely Ms. Kylie Rodney's family was treated. Well, the way Ms. Kylie Rodney's family was treated, I don't know. I mean, I think that when the mom told people to back the F off at the celebration of life, that a lot of people did because, she was directly saying, "You're hurting me and my child is deceased and shut the F up." And I think a lot of people were very receptive to that. I wasn't, because I felt like people were trying to get justice for her daughter. People saw that things weren't right. And even when people weren't suspicious of anything involving the family, it just didn't sit right. Like, why wouldn't you want there to be justice? Why would you be trying to protect and promote your prime suspect? So, yeah. With kid gloves. Yeah, absolutely. Especially law enforcement. Law enforcement was super sweet to her family, weren't they? Um, Law enforcement was pretty nasty to Kaylee's family. I'd say nasty to Madison's family and Xana's, since the parents were in contact with Ann Taylor as criminal defense attorney, and then she goes and represents their alleged unaliver. Oh, Jaded Warehouse, what do you have to say? Everyone took a mental health break from true crime, but miss you, Zena and chat. So yeah, I was out of the loop for an entire week, like a week ago, because there was a death in the family. So I've been really happy to be back, and yeah, it was good to reevaluate and just reassess. It's really important to me to do this. I feel like it's really productive to be working for justice on cases that I feel need attention. So, there's a lot of fishy things with Idaho 4, and I'll say it again and again. To me, personally, the fishiest thing is law enforcement not being angry and frustrated with Dylan and Bethany. Quite simple. In real life, I would think that they would be extremely upset, if not pressing charges. I think I've said it. I know other channels have said it. Imagine if these girls weren't girls. Imagine if these girls weren't white. Imagine that they were male and not white. You really think that it would be okay that they forgot to call 911 for 8 hours? No, I don't think so. I think they'd be arrested. I really do. I really, really do. Your channel has the most mature people in chat. Thank you, everyone. And we keep the good exposing the bad. And Dana says, welcome back, Jaded Warehouse. Well, I really love my people here, you guys. So thank you so much for being here. Let's get caught up and then on with the rest of the day for all of us. You know, I work every day, so you guys know that, right? I am not at liberty to disclose my employment, but I work more than 40 hours a week. So I do have a lot of energy and I get a lot done, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot just keeping track of everything, like my cords and my brain and all that jazz. So yeah, let's get to the wrapping up part. We're almost at 50 minutes. I know I have a few more things to share with you guys. Jaded Warehouse, you make a fine point. Hey, Jennifer S. You make a very fine point. Is it still? It's having some hiccups. So I wanted to. Okay, now it's letting me. It's replace pinned message. Our online community has showed more concern for Kylie than any of her loved ones did, in my opinion. I 100% agree. I'll just leave it at that. We're still trying to get justice for Kylie. I'll never give up. Yeah. You know, when I took on the cause, I mean, that's how I finally got motivated to start my channel, which I didn't think I ever would. I felt like I'm not ever going to give up for Kylie. And honestly, I didn't believe that there would be justice for Kylie because situations when they go south are very, very hard to straighten out. If you've got corruption, it's nearly impossible in my experience. So I was planning on not giving up on Kylie ever. And I was also planning on her basically not getting justice ever. Hopefully I'm wrong about that. Hopefully she will get justice. And I'm so grateful that there's a handful of channels, content creators and viewers and commenters alike that will not give up on her. I will never give up on her. You know, I might talk about other cases. I might not talk about her case for a little bit, but I'm definitely never giving up on her. She deserves better. And so many unspoken names also deserve better. And it's frustrating to me that they can't all get the attention that they deserve. One sec, let me see what my daughter is sending me. Let's see, she'll be fine. And Dana, I really like your comment here. KR's family or mother saying there's honor in silence rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. It's such a mobster kind of thing to say, really straight up. That's just unvarnished, not sugarcoating it. It's freaking crazy. Nicole Clark says, I have thought from the beginning that he didn't do this. I don't think he's weird either. Like him vacuuming his place around midnight, etc. Maybe because I do the same type of stuff. Absolutely. I'm much more prone to be vacuuming at midnight than I am probably any other time of the day. And, you know, for me, that's because I have a house full of people. So when everybody's asleep, it's going to be easier to vacuum. But also, in the beginning, I thought he did do it. I thought he looked really guilty and he had that bizarre kind of look in his eye. But, a bizarre look in somebody's eye does not make them guilty of anything other than having a bizarre look in their eye. And I also question the photographs that we see of him. I have seen a few decent photos of him, but in almost every picture, he looks hideous, absolutely hideous. And I just wonder if they're not touched up. I know that that was done with a photograph of O.J. Simpson, very famously on the cover of Time magazine, and they got a lot of flack for that. A lot of flack for that. Um, so yeah, in the beginning, I thought that he was guilty as charged, and then the more time has passed, and the more of the case just doesn't seem to be holding together. It's coming apart, in my opinion. And I thought of something last night that made me nervous. I thought, what if they try to paint it like it was both BKs in cahoots that did this together? So Brent Kopaka and Brian Koberger. What if that would just, I really feel like Brent Kopaka was done wrong. He was a protected person. He was not treated with proper procedural protected person in a situation like that SWAT team, like what they allege. They allege that he was threatening to unalive his roommates. His roommates were long gone into safety when he was unalived. The case doesn't make sense to me. I think the fact that veterans groups haven't spoken out and said, what the heck's going on here? Why is this vet unalived? And he was a protected person. Why was process and policy not followed? It makes me suspicious. That makes me suspicious that that the special forces groups haven't come out to fight for their Purple Heart Special Forces vet. It makes me suspicious that the Payne brothers haven't come out and said, what a bummer for our brother who did the same type of real dangerous and high skilled work that we did. What a bummer. Like, just mentioning him, not even saying, yeah, I knew him or I knew of him or whatever, but they definitely knew of him because of the type of work that they did and being in such a tight-knit community. And when you get into those types of professions, the communities get even smaller, little like subdivisions of the community, so to speak. There's just it just doesn't add up. It doesn't fit right. And I want justice for these kids. I want justice for their families. Their families have to live with this for the rest of their lives. These people that lost their lives, that's done, right? But justice does something to help with the healing process. Something. It does something. I mean, of course, it doesn't, there's no fixing anything, but you've got to have justice. You've got to have the truth. No matter how hideous, you got to know what happened, what went down. So, all right. Annie Potts, it jumped. The bank warrants for the kids are going to tell us so much when it's time to come out. Over 20 bank warrants for the 4 kids, 4 to 6 redacted others. Well, and it seems like some effery with COVID loans, some money with the COVID, with the PPE loans that didn't need to be paid back. Annie Potts, Kale says. Dee's mom is alleged to be with Fry or Payne. What? I can't remember which one. I think she works at the college. Dylan's mother works at the University of Idaho Boise location. So not the main campus, but the Boise campus. And I have not heard anything about with Fry or Payne. I mean, Chief Fry is married to the clerk of courts. She was elected a week, 6 days, 5 days. She was elected um, on probably the 7th, so 5 days before the unalivings. She was elected as a public official to serve as the clerk for the county. And she had already been appointed back in 2018 to being the director of finances for the city of Moscow. And Fry was appointed to be the police chief in 2016. So I think she came right out of a quasi retirement. I think they have 4 kids, and she hadn't worked since she started having kids. And so she just got right into this high paying job, which is unlikely because it's hard when you've been a stay at home mom. It's really hard to get back into your profession, A. And B, with her husband already having a very high office with the city, cities don't put spouses into positions like that very often. It's a conflict of interests. It's not a good recipe. It's a recipe for disaster. So Dylan's mom having anything to do with Payne, I can't speak to that. I don't know very much about either of the Payne brothers. I think that at least one of them might be married. I know that they're 33 and 35. I know that um, Kyle's the older one that is career military, and um, Brett Payne is the younger one, 33, who's the corporal, who's the lead detective, who owns the meat storage locker, meats and locker. I can't even think of the name of it right now, something Hill. And yeah, I've got a whole like background history of him and his businesses and properties that he's owned. And then one of who I think might be his father, who's like 56 and has the same name, but they have different middle initials. But they both are tied to that meat locker, the one up by the Canadian border. And what else? The older Brett Payne has quite the rap sheet. I think most of the criminal activity is in Alaska, but it's pretty interesting stuff. So Brett Payne was in the 82nd Brigade. I've said this again and again, just like Brent Kopaka. And they were both paratroopers for the 82nd Brigade in Afghanistan, but at different times. Brent Kopaka was finishing up his last tour when Kyle Payne started his first tour in Afghanistan. Kyle Payne was also a paratrooper, but for a different brigade, not the 82nd. And I know these brigades are big, but still, there's camaraderie. So anyway, let's get on with your comments, get caught up. So yeah, the money, follow the money. Very curious about that, Annie Ruler. If you know more, please share. And yes, 3434 Triple J was asking the question, does anybody know where Payne or Fry are? They haven't had any logins or sightings. Well, if I were them, I'd move to another country at this point. I mean, if they're involved in some effery, and I think that they very well are involved in some effery, and if they get busted, man, it ain't going to be purty. Annie Ruler, yes, DM's mother does work at the U of I, but at the Boise, Idaho campus. DM's mom is married to a guy. I forgot his name. Are her parents divorced? Is her mom? Yeah, because she has a different last name, doesn't she? But I don't know. I know Dylan also comes from a large family, right? She's like one of 5, I think. Annie Ruler, the guy that DM's mom is married, works in construction, from what I understand. Okay, and then is her biological dad the one that's a physician? Because, yeah, I was confused. I had heard both that her father worked as a contractor and um, as a physician, and I thought that that can't be the same person. So that would make more sense if there's a father and a stepfather. That would fit, could fit. Let's see. I think I've always presumed he did this and did it alone, but Creeper Eyes do not a serial unaliver make until it just stopped adding up. If he did, it was not by himself. Any Ruler, you're welcome. Kale Dependent, I agree with you 100%. Let's see. Agreed. I listened to the audio and I have questions too about Brent Kopaka and that situation for sure. Absolutely. 100%. There's a lot that's not right about that situation. A lot that's not right. Annie Ruler, Kale, yes, does not feel like criminal defendant did this, even planned this alone to me. BK clean up. I see that. Eesh, yikes. It will be interesting to see how this whole thing wraps up, won't it? They were in the same squadron, but it is huge, and they could possibly mention that I was in the 82nd Airborne same time, and he was a nice guy, or I never heard of him. One would think any connection. Exactly, exactly. Just to say, wow, he had a Purple Heart. He had earned a Purple Heart, and or was awarded a Purple Heart, and he was doing the same paratrooper stuff in Afghanistan. And yeah, just mentioning. You don't have to nothing. Just to say, oh, just an acknowledgement. It's suspicious to me that there's not been any acknowledgement whatsoever. We need a pet psychic to ask Murphy what happened. I 100% agree. Just saying that makes more sense than that was Ellie has handled the whole thing. I totally agree. Murphy knows all. Unfortunately, Brent is more than likely very involved. Why would Payne and Blaker be out at the SWAT incident in Pullman for Brent if he wasn't involved? Payne and Blaker were both right. I knew that Blaker was recently trained for SWAT. I did know that. So yeah. Payne was there too. Kyle Payne or Brett Payne? Wow. That's extremely significant. Extremely. And remember, this is all one town. It's all one town. Moscow and Pullman, all one town. Hello. And speaking of conflict of interest, Chief Fry, wife Julie, was elected Lata County Auditor on November 8th, 2022. Exactly, Annie Potts. Thank you for all the specifics there. Her first name and the correct title of what she was elected for, and the accurate date. I think I said the 7th. Kale says, I'm a cop and I have a few companies that I own, meat lockers and stuff. Regular Joe over here. Right. And he also owns a reputation management, an online reputation management company in Illinois. And I was asked by somebody the name of that company, and I have it somewhere. I haven't dug for it yet. If anybody knows the name of the company that Brett Payne owns in Illinois, that's a online reputation management company. Really good comment there, Kale. Thank you. I didn't know that you were a cop and have a few meat lockers. Okay, so which Payne brother was the MP? The military police? Not sure. I would guess Brett Payne, because they said that he had 2 years experience as a cop prior to being hired 2 years ago by Moscow PD, and he doesn't have any experience as a cop except maybe in the military, according to what I've found in his records. Dana, like I've said, this could be more similar to Placer County email. I don't think I got your email yet, Moms AF. It is the email address the same as your handle. Good afternoon, Truth Seekers. Hey, Caleb, nice to see you. Good afternoon. Et al. Blaker has been a cop for 22 years and had just recently been trained for SWAT. That's weird. Is that weird? Nicole Clark, thank you for speaking up and saying that. I think you are correct. And I didn't really put it together like that. That he's been a cop for over a couple of decades and he just recently trained for SWAT. I think that the Kopaka incident was his first incident that he attended as a SWAT team member. Shite show Ellie. I like that. That's so funny. I'd say clown car Ellie too. Dumpster fire Ellie. Or zombie brains dumpster fire. Zombie dumpster fire. Yes, I agree with Nicole Clark on just about everything. Yes, I know. This one's sharp, huh? Veronica Gower, hello all. Always cool chat in here when I make it. So that's funny. Is your last name the same last name as, is it Eric Gower, who was the driver of who drove Madison and Kaylee home that night? Because we were talking about that earlier, or maybe yesterday. I think that was yesterday. Because somebody wrote with an R, grower, and then somebody corrected that it was without the R. So I don't know. Moms AF. Oh, okay. So yeah, tell me who to or what to look for with the email if it's not Moms AF. Annie Potts. Lots of cops from Moscow PD, including Chief Fry, were at the SWAT incident for Brett in Washington. That's odd since it's not their jurisdiction. And they said the SWAT incident had nothing to do with King Road, with Kind Road. I like your typo there. Yeah, so I'm not aware of that, and I believe you because I know you do your homework, girl. So Fry was there over there in Pullman. Yeah. I mean, I've seen SWAT incidences where like everybody and their uncle showed up. Too many, like 100 law enforcement. And yeah, not all of them SWAT either. So I'll just put that out there. Sue, thanks, peeps. What is the pink glove? Oh, that's just like the wavy hand, right? I'm doing dishes. Is that the pink glove? That SWAT gig may be a promotion trying to boost his pension. Fire guys 1 year and a day, and they get to retire at the promoted rank. Really, Annie Ruler? It's an emoji in the chat at add-ons, Kale. Harsh Shelley says, okay, so let me see my notes real quick, and if there's anything I wanted to put in here before calling it a day. So we were speaking yesterday about when Ashley Banfield was relieved of her duties at CNN and how she had just been hitting some issues in the Watts case that involved Nicole Kessinger. And she seemed to me to be doing a really good job of digging for truth in a situation where there was a huge cover up. And she was canned from CNN. Like she was just gone. She was given the axe. So why, with her tarnishing the reputation of News Nation, are they not giving her the axe? Elizabeth Vargas is another really good reporter that's on News Nation. Elizabeth Vargas, I think she's been with like 48 Hours, 2020, 60 Minutes. She's one of my favorites, and she's kind of newer with News Nation. And I trust her, and I trust a company that would hire her. I trust a company that would hire Dan Abrams and Brian Enton. And I think Megyn Kelly, isn't she one of them too? I mean, these are people with impeccable reputations, but we've all seen and heard Ashley say some crazy crap about this case. And this case, much like the Kylie Rodney case, is one of these cases that is really splitting the room, dividing the room, splitting the population. And splitting, let me say this in closing. When you've got somebody with a personality disorder, that's what they do, is they split groups. Like if you have somebody in your family with a personality disorder, or somebody at your place of employment with a personality disorder, those people constantly create drama that divides groups. So my bringing it up here is thinking that we've got some severe personality disordered people. And I'll just say it. Maybe the lead detective here is a narcissistic personality disorder or something to that effect. Maybe a sociopathic personality disorder. You know, a lot of CEOs have sociopathic personality traits. But there's such a split with this case. Like people are at war. Like why? Why are people at war? Why? When everyone basically wants the same thing in the end, we're all out for truth and justice, hopefully, right? So all that infighting makes me think that it could be stemming from somebody in a position of authority in the situation having a personality disorder. How's that for an ending of a live? Okay. Let me let's see, finish up reading what you guys wrote. I watched the SWAT scene for Kopaka and it looked like any other day watching a sporting event. Bring me my coffee. Everyone was relaxed. Nothing warranted a shot fired at the time it was fired, in my opinion. Banfield is compromised. From my point of view, News Nation is the new CNN. So it's just like canned information. I guess I'm in the dark with emojis and add-ons. Banfield is using source as a source, not legit, spreading untruths. It's ridiculous when, I mean, she's literally said, source says. Like, it's one thing to say sources say, it's another thing to say source says. I mean, sources say is bad enough. Source says is a whole new level of cray, in my opinion. The smile face next to the place you see your typing is on. And Kale, where did you see the Kopaka event? Right. I mean, maybe listening, maybe the audio, Kale, if you care to answer the question as we're wrapping up. Cluster B, Centennial is talking about personality disorders. Thank you, Centennial. Yeah, so cluster B is like narcissist, borderline, histrionic, sociopathic personality disorders, the cluster B, I think. It's been a while. I haven't been carrying my DSM around with me, my diagnostic statistical manual. Nancy Grace has said some messed up stuff, but she does that with everyone. And I am a fan of Nancy Grace. I know she can be very acerbic and rub people the wrong way. And you may or may not know that her fiance was red rummed when she was in her 20s, which is why she's so passionate about justice for victims. I worry they put out untruths to cause a mess and then no real answer. I agree. I feel like cray peeps divide us so we do not pay attention to their personality issues. Very sharp point, Annie Ruler. Very sharp point. So I am going to have to wrap up. So I'm going to read your last couple of comments here and then say goodbye. Excellent ending. Well, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Annie Ruler, I wish I could remember, but when I do, I will send it to Zena so she can put a link in community page. Sorry, I cannot remember at the moment. Yes, I will definitely do that. If there's actual like video, the video was released. Oh, maybe like body cam video? Is that what it was? Or dash cam video? Audio is on J is for Justice. I bet it was on J is for Justice. Blaker gives gun offenders back their permit to carry. Moscow had so many unlawful discharges, they created a program to reinstruct and reinstall guns in criminal hands. Oh my goodness. Ah! Rachel Smith, thank you for the comment. As crazy as it is, good to know. Note to self. So you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. I hope that you can take the rest of the day off and do what you need to do. Get ready for the rest of the week. Tomorrow's midweek. Get your exercise, get your rest, get your nourishment, stay hydrated, and just be kind to yourself, be kind to other people. I always say, or often say, be forgiving of yourself and forgiving of other people. It's so important to not hold on to resentments. And TNT had the video. Thanks, Dana. And have a great rest of your day, all. And yes, peace out. Sending you light, sending you love. I really appreciate you guys. And thanks so much for your patience with my technical challenges. We'll see you soon. Have a great evening. Thanks. Take care.